Ba, 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 ba.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, everyone. This is the pre-show for episode 85. We have abilities and dungeon date, and a look back into season 10 Grandmasters and how we fared our first time through it.
Not well. Spoiler alert. Red Solo Cup. I fill you up. Chad, do they have Toby Keith in California?
No, we didn't get him until 2014.
Yeah.
Dude, you can tell whenever there's Lake of Shadows around how many clears you get per season. Oh my gosh. Season 11. I had 73 clears of Grandmasters. And 62 of them were Lake of Shadows.
62.
That's when it lands on a good gun.
We didn't have adepts then.
No, we didn't have any guns. We just had
we were just
we
just
had
grinding
ash
them out.
shorts.
Yeah. You. That's pretty funny.
Yeah. Lake of Shadows in season 15 only did it 28 times.
Only 28 times.
Yeah. No, this season I've done Disgraced 12 times.
Nice.
What's up, sweet thing? They say there's a lot of echo in this room. So I said we'll have to get some things figured out, like get stuff on the wall and stuff. Probably some of those foam things.
Gotta get like furniture. Just like
Raid jackets. Raid jackets would work too.
Chad said just put all the raid jackets up. I was like, Chad, I'm big, but how big do you think these fucking jackets are? You know what I mean?
Extra big.
you know,
They're the biggest size they make, but they're still not very big.
You put a Kentucky flag in there, and then like another chair or two.
I have all my stuff, all my Kentucky stuff, ready to go on the wall. It just hasn't.
That stuff
made it
really
there.
just takes away so much echo too. Whenever you just start like decorating.
Yeah. It's a lot of the cloth and
Another
stuff.
one
will
of
help.
these in the refrigerator.
Bing, 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 bing.
Are we live?
Yeah.
We are live.
Heck yeah, we are live, dog.
Or the pre-show of episode 85. Yeah, it's Thursday.
Wednesday for a minute.
Thought it was Wednesday. Don't you fucking put that on me. Don't make me do another day of work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You still having the Christmas party on the 23rd?
I think so, man. I think we can, because the 23rd is a Friday also. So I've got enough for probably like 12 to 15 cars, enough parking here. And enough space to like comfortably hold everybody in like 3 different spaces.
Mm-hmm.
So I think so. I'm going to try to get me a Festivus tree to put up this year.
Is Cody going?
Like the pole. Just the pole.
Who has Rock Band? Is Cody the one with Rock Band right now?
Yeah. I found some drums in my building and hooked him up with it. So I'm gonna try to do that a little bit as kind of like everybody come to the new place type of deal.
I'll make sure to make it out there in the next
Dude,
a couple months.
I wish you could. I wish you could fly in closer than 2.5 hours away.
Oh wait, seriously? Shoo, that's a ways away.
You're not used to like Midwestern travel though. Like we're cool to drive 6, 7, 8 hours a day and it not be a big deal.
Yeah, nah. I mean, I'll sit. I mean, here's the problem though. Like, you will travel and actually be traveling for that entire time. It will take me 45 minutes to an hour to travel 10 miles down the highway.
I get that. I get that. I really do.
I would rather be moving for hours than be sitting for an hour.
No, dude, there's nothing worse than being stuck in like a traffic jam like that. So
Yeah.
I totally get it.
Like, I'm so much happier having moved to like purely public transit with the trolley system here.
Yeah,
Like,
how does that go on since you started?
it's awesome, dude. And like, I get to zone out. I don't have to focus on driving. I'm not getting any stress from it at all because of traffic.
No,
So I'm
like,
literally,
no
I
road
get in the
rage and
morning,
stuff.
I go, yeah, like it takes me from door to door, from like door to my desk, an hour. And it's like, okay, you're only traveling 12 miles, but it's public transit going on the trolley system.
Yeah.
But it's like, dude, it's an hour where I get to put my headphones on, listen to music, catch up on
Chill
some
out.
podcasts, chill out, read a book, like just totally zone out and just hang out. And then coming back home, I get to sit there on the trolley, look out the window, and be like, you stupid heads on cars, look at you, I'm moving faster than you. And
If you
it's
are
just, it's
taking away
chilling.
our ozone layer.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
using public
And the best
transit.
part is, the trolley going either way is headed to and from a hospital. So I get to look at all the banging medical babes going either way,
Or dudes, if you're into that.
medical people. But I'm like,
There you go.
you work hard, and that's hot.
Hey, I work really hard, man. Really hard.
Super hot. Mr. NotRyanFox. If
Destiny
you weren't
bad
married, I'd
boy.
move over there.
I'm that medical center bad boy too.
And then like I go through a bunch of malls too, so there's like all the girls and people like going to and from the mall. It's like, yeah, I'm good. I'm happy. I get to see here. They get some eye candy here and there.
Yeah,
It's nice. It's real nice. And it's cheap. Like it has a scanning system to like automatically charge you or whatever, or you can be a chump and not pay for public transit. But like
How
for
much
my
is
account,
like a month of public transit?
it stops charging you at $72.
So that's like the max you ever have to pay.
Yeah. So like basically I get the last week of the month for free. Cuz it's
Like
it's like
pretty well
$5 a
unlimited
day.
at that point.
And yeah. Basically I could ride it on the weekends. I could go
Right.
to and from down. And dude, this thing drops you off in downtown. Like a block away from like all the clubs and bars and stuff. And the convention center. It's right there. It's crazy. And Petco Park. It literally drops you off right next to Petco.
Really?
Yeah. It's dope, man.
I've always wished that I lived in a place that had nice public transit. We have
Yeah.
like 3 taxis, not 3 taxi services.
3
Like-
individual taxi guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's all the medallions your city can afford to have.
I don't know what that means, but it sounds like you're making fun of us.
It's an old school system. No. There's a cities release medallions for taxis, and you can only be an official licensed taxi driver with a medallion granted to you by the city.
Wow. Cincinnati's
As far as I remember.
Cincinnati streetcar is really good. It takes you in front of
Yeah,
the
I
stadiums
enjoyed it
and
quite a
then to
bit.
OTR. So that's
I rode it a little bit. I think with you, it was like the first weekend it was in or something, right?
Oh yeah, yep, we did
That's
that.
cool. Yeah, because we have the electronic or the electric trolley. Obviously, it's on like the rails for the railroad.
Yeah.
And then if you're in the downtown area, you can get on a stop, which is just like the city trolley, which is just like a big open vehicle that just rolls around downtown, and they're all over the areas. So that's cool.
Jared, you ever had this?
Not that one. Is that the rye?
Yeah, it's
Russell's?
the rye. Russell's Reserve. Single barrel. It's 52%.
Ooh. Sounds yum in my tum tum.
Not too shabby. I did drop a 1.75 Buffalo Trace and shatter that bitch in my kitchen this morning.
I thought you were gonna
Or
say
not this
KD.
morning.
I was
But,
getting really excited.
just-
Now I'm really sad.
like about an hour and a half ago.
Yeah.
That
Shattered
is-
it, went everywhere. Unopened,
That's-
man. That's what I wasn't gonna bring
yeah.
into the computer room.
The devil.
$79.
The
down
devil
the
gets
drain.
his cut too. Okay. So
Sheesh.
every now and then you just got to sacrifice one to the bourbon
Yeah,
gods.
at least it was just Buffalo Trace and
Yeah.
not something else.
Yeah.
Just sucks. It was the ginormous bottle.
That one went to calm all the spirits living underneath the house.
Yeah, it's fine. It's a sacrifice.
Yeah.
I poured one out today. So, you guys ready to get started?
Yes.
Oh, heck yes.
Wiggle, 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 wiggle.
Wiggle. Jared said I'm wiggling.
Yeah.
Keep talking to see if I hear you in here.
Yeah.
Hi,
go on.
friend.
All right, I got you. Want to get some sort of cooling system in this room set up if this computer's going to be beside me. Putting off quite possibly 120 degrees Celsius of temperature.
Man, I mean, it's getting cold over here. It was like 57 degrees this morning. I couldn't believe it.
I forgot to tell you guys, my son stole my Osiris Funko Pop. So,
You
I'm
put him in the
down
kennel?
I'm down to Ikora, the Wildcat, Kobe Bryant, the father from the television show Bluey, and the Mini Gowrhorn. So, R.I.P. Osiris.
I don't know your address, so I can't send you stuff off of your Amazon wish list.
Yeah. All right, I'm pushing the button. We are live for episode 85 of the Conqueror's Corner podcast. Today is Thursday, November the 3rd, and the Destiny bad boy has made his return here with my fire team, who all of you CCBs know by now. Jared?
Yeah, we should have a good episode in store for you today. A lot of ability changes and a dungeon to look forward to. And some news that, I think we was not wanting to see, but it came anyways.
And the chronicler himself, chadocero.
I'm here to bring you some spoopy lore today, but definitely excited to talk about some ability changes they have planned for next season, and just happy to hear about more stuff they're doing next season.
And remember, if you're watching us on YouTube, that you can take us on the road via Spotify, iTunes, and other podcast services. And remember to follow us on Twitter at DestinyCCPod. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube, unsubscribe from the YouTube, resubscribe to the YouTube, turn the bell, turn on notifications, click on the bell, yada, yada, yada. Make sure you join the Discord server, send us a bunch of friend requests so we can play together. And we're going to get to the TWAB, but before we do that, let's get to the intro music from everybody's favorite link, at Link of Time G on Twitter.
All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us this week, and you're in the right place if you want to know what's going on in Destiny 2. Now, these abilities. There's going to be a lot of changes, a lot of stuff to talk about, and, over these next few weeks and into next season, how we'll think about it more, and we're starting to get into play more. So, after these changes come out next season, you have more questions about your build that didn't end up working the way you wanted to, or like your build got nerfed, reach out to us and we'll talk you through something else to come up with. Before we set the stage of the ability tuning, just some quick notes here from the design team, the weapons design team, and the PvP weapon balance in this game. So their target for a high level Crucible is a 60-40 gunplay split. So that is like 60% guns and 40% abilities. And the balance patch they did back in their 30th anniversary targeted a lot of this. But of course, when you rework, 3 subclasses and bring them up to the level of stasis, what is or was that you're going to see some of these abilities go in flux at times and have abilities and subclasses that are very annoying to play against in Destiny 2. So there's still going to be more tuning in the future, and but this is just for the time being, and setting the expectations that after Lightfall is whenever we'll see another like big abilities tuning of like uptime and lethality. They kind of want to let strands settle and then reevaluate the classes after that. So first up here is Solar. I'll go ahead and take that because hunters look away. Something's bad in store for us. But first up, Solar. They wanted to give an easy way that we could heal ourselves in the game, especially in PvE content. But however, with the resilience change of how the more resilience you're up, the more damage you don't take anymore. Restoration's a little too hot. Haha, Solar. So restoration times 1 and PvP is going to have its rate change from 25 to 20 per second, and then 40 is not what it's going to be in PvE, down from 50. Restoration 2, following that same base of thinking, healing rate in PvP from 40 to 32.5 per second, and then in PvE 65, which is down from 80. And then healing with restoration will no longer stack with healing rifts. So whatever ability is giving you the most health increase, that's the one that wins out. So that's like how that works with your buffs in game. If you have high power energy and you're standing in a well, the well is going to take place over high power. So Lorelei's kind of getting another little touch here. I know that's something huge in Solar, and then the Titan use. Restoration 2, that's from healing nades, and also Warlocks can produce it the same way with consuming grenade. Now we're going to have some fragments being touched. Ember of Torches. So that's whenever you melee enemies with your power melee, you become radiant. The duration of that is down to 8 seconds from 10, and now we'll apply -10 discipline. And then Ember of Solstice, which provides buff to 50% of radiant duration rather than just a flat 5 seconds. So the uptime of radiant was just too much, and they're just bringing that down. Next is the knock 'em down aspect for hunters. So Golden Gun, I'm sure a lot of people see it as the 6-shooter. Just got, you can get 7th column very easily in PvP. Those are all over YouTube. You could Google 7th column in Destiny 2, and majority of them are going to be with the Deadshot Golden Gun. So knock 'em down will no longer provide 15% bonus damage resistance, and no longer provides bonus duration. And then for Marksman Gold Gun, that's the 3-shot. It no longer provides 15 bonus to damage resistance. Blade Barrage is also getting hit out of this, as it is too high up the burst PvE damage charts, so they're taking it down. Blade Barrage projectiles go from 5 to 3 per group, and now have a total of 20 knives that go out, which is down from 24. So right now, that was Blade Barrage with why am I blanking on the boots that you pick up orbs.
Which boots?
Star Eaters.
Starter scales. Yep. That that was the highest DPS for hunters, or now that might no longer be the case with Blade Wash. And last up here for solar, Celestial Fire. In close range melee damage, it's going from 90 to 10 because there was a weird interaction that happens when you double melee somebody close by in PvP. You sometimes would not get the kill because that Celestial Fire damage only did 90 instead of the traditional 100. So,
Jared, am I still popping real bad?
yeah, you're popping, you're light now, so you might want to turn yourself up a touch.
Is that a little better right there?
Yeah, we can at least hear you that way.
Sorry to do this on the fly, everybody. I apologize. I moved into a new room and there's echo, so I tried to turn myself down for echo and ended up not doing a great job. So I apologize. So I think we're on to Void. Is that correct?
Yeah. One YouTube.
All right.
Take it.
Yeah. So with Void, we got the Void Overshield. Fixed an issue where the Overshield was only providing 25% PvE only damage resistance to the Overshield rather than the intended 50%. So that's nice to see. But the Nova Bomb Vortex increased the initial projectile speed by 21%, increased the radius of the inward pull on impact by roughly 17%, and increased the strength of the inward pull on impact by roughly 20%. So it's nice to see that. A little help for the Nova Bomb there. Shield Bash improved reliability of applying suppression. Also great to see. We really liked the suppression when it came to the light blade. Like in the Grandmasters where we had the hive light, like that have the light there. That was really nice. So anytime you get improved reliability, that's always a welcome change in my opinion. And with the Hunter's Shadow Shot Deadfall, increased the tether anchor lifetime when triggered from 8 seconds to 12 seconds. It's great to see. And with the Mobius Quiver, reduced the tether anchor lifetime when triggered from 8 seconds to 6 seconds. I would say both of those, I'd say we'll have to wait and see how it feels, but I imagine that'll differentiate those a little bit more, so one's not obviously better than the other.
Yeah, this is kind of stacking on top of the Divinity nerf from 30% debuff down to 15. So now Deadfall is like the most reliable way for at least 12 seconds to get that 30% debuff. Now, they're not skipping over Invis Hunters in PvP that know they're a pain point. They have nothing set in stone right now to change, but they are working on, because I think this last week in Trials, more Void Hunters went flawless than Warlocks went flawless this last weekend. So
like just one subclass of Hunters went more than the entire.
Yes.
Sheesh.
So, I mean, we talked about this a lot, and we'll kind of get into this. With so many of these abilities changes, like something's going to become the meta again, and it don't matter if it's Hunters, Warlocks. I mean, Warlocks with Geomags, that's what everybody was doing too. Was like everybody was running that in Trials. So we got to just get to this system in Trials where you can only have one of each subclass and lock loadouts. I think it would do wonders to the playlist.
Do you think it'd be better to do one of each subclass or one of each character class?
You just can't stack up. Like you could do 3 Hunters, but it'd have to be Void, Solo, and Arc, or one of them Stasis.
Right. Yeah, I got you.
All right, Chad, what's going on with Arc?
Arc. So first thing they talk about is the touching of the Thunderstorm Grenade. Touch of Thunder Storm Grenade. They decreased the Touch of Thunder's base roaming duration from 5 to 4 seconds. So 1 less second of it just going around. Their main issue with it was in PvP. It is very oppressive. They liked the idea of it being thrown and flushing the enemies out of cover. But it keeps going for too long. So they dropped that a whole second there, a whole 20%. And then they decreased the bonus lifetime granted by Spark of Magnitude to the Enhanced Storm Grenade from 2 to 1.5 seconds. So even with that Spark of Magnitude, it only gets an extra 1.5, so it goes up to just barely above what it was originally. Um, and then they updated friend or foe visual language. So previously that meant that the friend or foe ring surrounding Touch of Thunder Storm Grenade blinked on and off between the strikes. There's no indication within the cloud whether it was yours or the enemy's. And now the ring is there the entire time the grenade is out. So if you see a thundercloud, you'll know right away whether it's an ally or not, and you know whether to run through or run away. That was something that was very tough because you'd round a corner and see it and then go, and then you'd see the red ring pop up underneath it really quick, and you're like, okay, go this way. So that's good to have that. They also added an additional VFX layer in the cloud itself to help you differentiate it. So another, besides the visual effects, they're adding another thing inside the cloud to make it even easier to spot. So it'll be less of your time looking at it and wondering. Now they changed ballistic slam. They increased the base damage against PvE combatants by 16%. And then they also thought that Arc Soul wasn't strong enough as a PvE component. I really liked it a lot because using the Arc gloves to make your little Arc buddy, it would make you amplified immediately. So that free amplified without having to pick up an arc anything was awesome. You'd be able to just go bink, and then you have the super arc buddy right next to you. But what they did is they increased the base damage in PvE from 35 to 60. So it's like a solid almost 2 times damage there, which is excellent. Like it has to compete with Bleak Watcher, Child of the Old Gods, and what's the solar? It's just like the orb that you throw out, right?
The celestial fire.
Yeah.
Grenade.
So it has to compete with all
The
those
melee,
things.
rather.
And since they're changing celestial so that it's gonna be like a melee or ability than melee to kill, they want everything to be more in line, and it has a lot of stiff competition, the little Arc Soul buddy, but this will be a good change, especially in PvE. It'll make it more reliable, and giving one of these to your allies is actually going to be a big deal, which is going to be nice. And then they also changed Ball of Lightning. They increased the travel range from 27.5 to 35 meters. Another almost like I think 1.5 times increase there. Or no, they 8. So a third, 33% almost.
Yeah.
That's a good distance increase. And then they increased damage for chain lightning in PvE by 50%. So another big boost to ability damage for that chain lightning ability. And then on top of that, they felt that Chaos Reach wasn't as strong as it used to be because of the nerfs that they made to it. So they dropped the cooldown rate from 9 minutes 16 to 7 minutes 35, dropping almost 2 minutes off of that timer, making it so you can use it more often. Because it's a one-off, but it lasts for a little bit longer than just a quick one-off. So it'll be fun to be able to use that without being like, I need to save it. To be like, I quick clear of all these mobs, just bang, or just hit a champ, or just hit something really hard, really fast, and know you're gonna get your energy back a lot sooner than normal. So that's
really
a
nice
change
for,
that
like, majors,
I'm excited about.
I thought majors and champions.
Yeah, exactly. You don't feel bad about using it on them anymore because
Exactly.
it's a lot faster to get.
And really, I mean, to me, looking at this arc, Titans got brought down a touch. Hunters didn't get really touched at all. And then Warlocks gotten better, which Warlocks did need some love in arc overall.
I felt like we were a little below in the arc, but it's hard to complain about the void or the stasis or the solar really with the well at this moment.
All right, moving on to stasis. So Bungie wants to be really careful with buffing and changing up stasis. They definitely don't want to go back to the stasis meta that we had there for 10-ish months. So just got some small changes here just to make some stuff a little bit better. So stasis slow, they feel like it could be a little bit better in PvP. So they increased the movement speed penalty while slowed by 10%. Cold snap grenades are nothing what they used to be. They launched pretty hot. And then they nerfed shadow dive. They Cold Snaps came back, and finally, they're still not back where they wanted to be at. So now the Seeker can adjust his trajectory after half a second of creation rather than immediately finding a target and traveling towards their last known position. So this will be a little more accurate with Cold Snaps. Dustfield Grenade increased the slow stack application rate on players by 13%. They don't have the suck anymore. They don't suck people into the field because that's what Void does. So I think I don't think this is enough for Dustfield Grenades. What I really like them to do, as soon as you throw it, I wish it would make the orb, and the orb just travels like as you throw it. So like in Overwatch, like you can throw like the healing pulse forward with your Myra and stuff like that. I want to say I just want a slow ball going forward to slow everything down in its path until it hits a wall and sticks.
That'd be pretty rad. I like that up quite a bit as well.
Yeah, that'd be neat.
All right, we got some aspect changes. The Hunter's Winter Shrouds, that's when you dodge, you slow nearby combatants and players. The Fragment slot is now 2 from 1. And Behemoth Cryoclasm is when you slide and shatter. Fragment is also increased to 2 from 1. Shea Binder and Glacial Harvest was rarely used, and that's basically because the cooldown when collecting shards. So now they're reducing the cooldown per 6 shards from 15 seconds to 10 seconds. And a final change here: Whisper of Windering now provides bonus damage to stasis crystals and frozen targets for all primary ammo weapons rather than just kinetic ammo weapons. And that's basically in response to the Shade Binders really don't have a direct way to shatter, and now that they can put that on and shatter with any primary weapon very easily. So there's all the abilities. Nothing I feel like it was out of bounds, uncalled for by Bungie. That was like such a substantial nerf that like builds would be just gonna be left in the dust. But how was your opinion of what's going on with your Titan, Chad?
I mean, the touch of thunder and the storm grenades changes are needed.
Yeah.
I'd be using them in PvP because I just had them equipped and I never changed them out just because I'm lazy. Not because they're overpowered, but I would throw one and just look at it and be like, this is ridiculous. This is unnecessary. And it's just crazy. It's nuts. So having that be hit a little bit in PvP is good. Increasing damage for ballistic slam is nice. I might, use it more. And I'm happy about that. As far as the void stuff, improved suppression on shield bashing is great. And then any solar changes for Titans that are nerfs to how it works is a positive from me. Even if it means that solo flawlessing things is going to be harder, I do not care. It is unnecessary how powerful the invincibility on that class is for solar.
Yeah.
It's not needed. Like it's just ridiculous how much you can survive with it as it is currently. So it needed to get hit somehow, and we'll have to see if this is enough. I'm hoping that it's just fine in that it'll reduce the amount of oh no moments. So they'll still exist again instead of it being like, hey, I can sit here and have bosses and enemies wailing on me and I'll never die. It'll make it into a I need to get out of this situation quickly or I will die, which is like, that's fine. If you get in that situation and you can still live if you're smart, that's good, but not broken. And that's where I want it to be at.
All right, Fox, how are you feeling about your Warlock?
It's hard to complain because it seemed like specifically the Nova Bomb kind of got buffed a little bit. The people forget the Void 3.0 subclass with the Warlock was really, really, really powerful, especially if you build on especially if you build onto it just a little bit. So it might be interesting to go back to that Void subclass a little bit, play around with like Devour and those type of things,
Mm-hmm.
and you could really do a lot of damage. The arc, shaving 2 minutes off the super time on the Chaos Reach, that was nice to see. Solar, solar obviously is always going to be worse than what it was because what we had before was overpowered with the well, and you could, like, I guess it'd be solar 2.0 when you could have any grenade and turn it into a healing grenade as opposed to having to actually have the healing grenade equipped. So, but you can get away with the Brutes of the Assembler, those type of things. You can kind of pass. You can use your class, like your Rift, your class ability, and spread those things around, and it kind of negates some of that you had. Stasis was nice. Cold snap grenades, which if you use the osmiomancy gloves, you have those cold snap grenades anyway because you get like 2 of them at a time. So if you don't hold the grenade button down long enough to turn it into a turret in stasis, you can still get some damage with that cold snap grenade. So overall, I'm pretty happy. I thought warlocks have been in a good place. I would say for like the last, honestly, since Forsaken came out, warlocks have been consistently in the best place or the second best place. We've never been underpowered. If anything, we've been slightly overpowered. And to see us get stronger with most of these that they listed in here in the TWAB, I was pretty happy to see.
Yeah, in the power hierarchy, I mean, Arc Titan right now is, at number 1. There's that Storm Grenades are going to bring him down a little bit, but in general, harder and most light for Titan, right, is going to be, like, the top build and, like, majority of things in this game. You can apply that Void Overshield now where you're going to get that extra damage resist and just proc all your other abilities so easily. Bungie has said they are touching 27 exotics next season. So I'm sure Heart is probably on that list. If not, the build lives on. And that is the only exotic you need as a Titan.
Yep.
Is it tied to like Shadowkeep or one of the weird expansions, I want to say?
Yeah, I think it's...
I had a buddy that popped on and played for like 2 or 3 months. You guys might remember Schizo Aaron that came on, and he was really into like builds and stuff, and he needed that exotic, and Zur finally sold it like one of the weeks he was playing, like one of the 10 or 12 weeks, and he had to buy, I want to say it was Shadowkeep. Could definitely be wrong about that, but one of those expansions you have to have in order. So he had to like pay like somewhere between $12 and $20. CDkeys.com, G2A.com. Those are some places you can get some deals on those if you're on PC.
All right, next up is the dungeon. So next season we are getting a new dungeon that is season 19, and it will launch December 9th at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So that is noon Eastern Time. I kind of felt like they might have going to give us a hint here by Hippie, but she's like, "Oh, gotta go." Right before she said,
Almost at the bridge now.
Yeah. So to me, it's time to bounty prep. I think I'm gonna stop turning bounties in. I think I'm like 248. I think season pass or something like that. So like I'm good. I'm gonna start saving all my bounties now.
I already started doing that. Like that's what I needed.
Now that I have an Ethernet cord to run to my computer and I can actually start playing games again, I'm going to start saving bounties because I'm plus 16 on the artifact, so I'm good to go at this point.
Yeah, so I think I just got to 1601 or 1602. So that means like in master raids and master dungeons, it just becomes super easy to breeze through. I'm probably going to farm some artifice armor to get ready. All right, the next trials weekend, so that would be November 11th. Before then, on November 7th, you'll be getting an email, and you get to choose the map to play that weekend. So your 3 choices are Anomaly, Cauldron, and Pacifica. Man, I think I have
3
nightmares
crappy maps.
from playing Anomaly on that weekend. Whenever what was the trial shotgun when it came out?
Astral Horizon.
Yes, and everybody was resetting after 3 wins and not continuing on the card, so you just run into super
Reset
sweat lords.
all of it.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's why it's gonna be my vote.
Just get as toxic as we have no intention to play it, so just make it as toxic as possible.
Anomaly, I don't mind it in 3s because, playing the doors, trying to get a flank off, is mainly just control the middle of the room, that center room.
Arc Warlock is crazy overpowered, especially with the landfall on there, because you can cast that thing on the other side of the door and kill people that are camping the opposite side of the door whenever you go through. So I went flawless there for one of the weapons one season. It was like the last map I needed to flawless for the adept weapon. And I played and finally went flawless. And the arc landfall, the tickle fingers with the warlock ended up being what saved us there with a risk runner. But the meta is a little different now. So,
Yeah.
But back then that's what did it.
So make sure you go and vote if you're planning on playing trials, or you're just going to just be toxic and just pick an anomaly like Chad with zero intention of playing trials that weekend. Also, Bungie has some Bungie bounties going on still. It's lots of them here in the TWAB. Find your platform and the time zone that you're going to be playing in, and see if there's somebody doing a Bungie bounty to go play. It's from Haunted Lost Sectors, Vanguard Ops, Crucible, Catch Crassus, Expeditions. So all different parts of the game that you can get into and get one of these bounties done. So before we get through the TWAB, this is the last thing of note here. And they are improving the old gen consoles. And basically what they're doing is they are reducing the memory footprint with minimal quality degradation. So trying to reduce some of those load times, load into the maps easier, change between areas of the tower. Now you can go from the main area of the tower to over talk to Akora. Back in those Xbox days, you get like stuck going through the hallway. And
The whole you go down the stairs and
Yeah.
then that little hallway that was right after that.
Yeah. So hopefully reduce those times in between those two areas. I really thought this is just going to just leave these generations behind, but the fact that they put work into this now makes me think they're going to be around for a while.
They're greedy. They're too greedy to drop them. It's the only explanation. The right thing to do is to drop them. We all know that the right thing to do is to drop them, but they're too greedy to drop them. And that it is what it is. It's all about the dollar at this point. Unfortunately, thanks Sony.
Sure. So, but overall, I do think it does improve. I hope it improves your load times on console, because there are some dark days, and I really hope that you move Destiny over to external SSD by this point. If you're still on one of them,
we did that. We were pretty early on that, Jared. We should probably send out a link, because what was it, like $40? We had the casing and the SSD. Or
Yeah.
40, maybe $50, and it made a tremendous difference on the. Like I had the Xbox One X, not the Series X, but the Xbox One X, and the difference that it made in my load times was pretty dramatic.
It was huge.
All right. Thanks to Hippie for that TWAB, and make sure you go out and drink some water, because season 19 is a ways away. Make sure you're going to get there by drinking water. All right, now it's time up for 3 likes and 3 dislikes. So a lot of stuff going on this week. I know Fox was moving. Me and Chad held it down last week, but however, Festival of Lost is still going on. And I have 3 more Haunted Lost Sectors to do to complete the title, Ghost Rider, and to guild it at the same time. So that's all I have left. I just got 3 of them. I'll probably knock them out sometime this weekend or tomorrow night.
My like is I'm about halfway to having my new, well, probably realistically like 35 to 40% of the way of having this new setup, but it is nice having more room in the house, having a dedicated room for my PC so I don't have to drag out my ring light and my camera and my microphone and all this stuff out every Thursday can kind of stay in place. The bad part is we spent so much money on everything else that I don't have like 3 or 4 grand laying around in order to get me a nice chair, a nice desk, and the big ultra wide monitor that I want. So give me something to work for the next 5 or 6 months, I would say.
I'll give you a quick recommendation on a chair. Is
Oh, I
that
was gonna do that
Yeah.
too.
yeah, my chair is from Sam's Club, and it's like the office
Okay.
ergonomic chair, and I think I paid like $140, and this is the most comfortable
Okay.
office chair I've ever sit in.
Yeah, I've been looking at like the Herman Millers. I see them on like the
Oof.
market,
Whew.
like the Facebook Marketplace for
Yeah.
about 350, 400.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Would
Okay.
love to get one of those. Obviously, I don't have the disposable income to pay 1,500 for like a desk chair like they are
Yeah.
new.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm hoping to find a nice used one in maybe the Columbus area because that's where most of them are, and then maybe have a good buddy put it in his truck and drive it down one weekend.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think I know a guy that knows a guy.
Oh man, yeah, I have an autonomous, and it's right around that price new, so it's it's been wonderful to me. I enjoy it very much.
yeah.
Um,
Right now, I can't remember if mine is the Kia or the IKEA or the Walmart special. I
Choo,
got
I
for my
like it.
wife that is just
It's
like a
just a bunch of
white.
hunks of wood put together. I like it. All right. So for my like, I only have 4,000 candy to go before I am just like Jared. I did my lost sectors first, and I am annoyed that that didn't get enough candy to finish the job.
Don't blame you.
Um, so as far as that goes, I'm annoyed, but I'm almost there. I believe it'll take only like one day of like good just playing. It's Gambit week. I'll play some Gambit. Still need some wins, and then I get that one done too. As far as my dislike goes, I dislike just how negative I feel about this season in particular. I don't like it. I feel like Ryan. I'm sorry, Mr. Not Ryan. Um,
Destiny bad boy.
and just being real with you, I just don't like it. And I'm happy that I have other games I can play. But it bugs me because I really do love Destiny and I like playing Bungie games. But that's where we're at.
So my dislike is the Destiny Twitter drama from all of the content creators. If it's not one content creator, it's another that's getting banned, and then Bungie goes in and bans like apparently this person in the past had allegedly created fake Twitch profiles, went in and harassed other Twitch streamers. Um, Bungie, and then now they're real into like griefing other players and those type of things. Bungie bans them. They fight on Twitter for 2 days that why am I banned? I don't know why I'm banned. They tag like community managers and the tweets. They remove themselves and like leave the conversation. And then it comes out that allegedly, it's from like previous actions. And then I don't know how to feel. Like Bungie's not God. They shouldn't be able to judge everybody on how they acted 3 years ago. So I don't know how I feel about it. I just don't understand why this game brings out so much drama out of everybody. I wish it was different. So that is my dislike for Destiny this week.
We need to bring back shadow bans. I think that's the answer. That way they can't get the screenshot of like um of if they've been banned. So they just like they can
apparently
never
this
find a
dude was
match.
banned like during a stream. Like I said, allegedly. I'm
Yeah.
basing this upon Twitter, so
Yeah.
who knows how much of it is true. But if you're interested in looking at it, just go to Giggs's profile, and you can. It don't take a real Twitter genius to get to the bottom of it from that. So
All right, my dislike this week. It's tough to get our buddies together to do a raid. this late in the season. So like not really that much pinnacle grinds going on. It's like, yeah, we can do a few runs for a red border frame or two, but we're like in 4 weeks we gotta power grind again, and we'll be grinding King's Fall at that time too, doing the and getting red border frames too. So I understand putting that off. It's just tough getting people together this late in the season.
Yeah. Agreed, man. I know I've really kind of had the itch to play, like mainly finish out like our GMs, finish out some raids, those type of things, and just not either fighting with Spectrum or not having the time in order to have the PC to get it set up and everything. It's kind of sucked this week.
All right, that is it for 3 likes and dislike. No weapons breakdown this week, but we are doing a gambling corner. And this time it's going to be a little bit different. It's actually happening as we speak. And what's going to happen is I have the data from Season 10 Grandmasters when the 3 of us first completed Conqueror, and I have the amount of attempts that it took for us to complete it. What we did that season, we put it off to the last 2 weeks of the season because that's when our Grandmasters became available. And we was like, oh, we can get them all done in 2 weeks. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to ask Chad and Brian to guess how many attempts it took for us to get through them. And then the winner at the end will win 1,000 Glimmer. We haven't seen much action in this in Gambling Corner because due to the RNG gods of Tessa Malice, nobody's gotten it yet, and I think combined,
I feel like Touch of Malice has a really low drop rate.
I think we're approaching 0 for 70 between the 3 of us, or 0 for 60, and we're in that range.
Yeah.
All right, so the 6 GMs that season was Insight Terminus, Exodus Crash, Arms Dealer, Tree of Probabilities, Broodhold, and Warden of Nothing. So, Fox, since you was gone last week, I'll let you lead us off with what Grandmaster would you like to guess first?
Let's do was Tree of Probabilities the
Okay.
one that had the Vex thing that like spun around the arena? You're in a circle arena and it went around and there were
That is
Tree's the one with the Cabal.
Yes. The Cabal guy in 3 separate steps that like you do the first room where he jumps down and kills the Vex. Like
Gotcha.
Ballistic slam.
Gotcha. Yeah.
All right, since Fox picked it, Chad, what's the number?
What's the number? How many tries it took us to beat it?
Yeah.
6.
All right.
I was right there with you, man. I was thinking like 5.
So Chad 6, so Fox is 5. All right.
Yeah.
Fox
final
gets
answer.
it. It was it took us 5 attempts to get tree of probabilities.
Okay.
All right.
Chad, you get to pick the next one, I assume.
Yeah.
Okay. What was the easiest one in your opinion from that season? I'm trying to remember which one it was.
I feel like that would give too much away to the answer if I tell you what one was the easiest.
Because I don't care either way. You
Okay.
can just
We'll go ahead and
pull one out of a hat.
we'll go with Broodhold next.
Broodhold. Okay.
Yep. So Fox got the win on the last one, but he gets to guess first this time.
Okay, Broodhold. That's the one with the 2 witches at the end
That could
kinda
split.
off of each other.
Mm-hmm.
I know that we had a little bit of trouble with this one. I'm gonna say 5 again.
Okay. I'm gonna say 4. I was thinking 4 for some reason.
Oh no, Chad, you went on the wrong side. It was 8.
No.
It was 8.
It was 8.
Yep.
8. Oh my goodness.
You suck.
Sheesh.
All right.
Ryan needs 2 more to win.
Yeah. Next up, Warden of Nothing. So this one's still around now. All 3 champions are in this Grandmaster, and all 3 types of shields.
Yeah, and I remember the weapons sucked
Yeah.
that first season.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember how cheesy we got. if we gave up and cheesed, or if we just immediately cheesed because it was at the end and we're like, we don't want to do this anymore. um, yeah, 6. I'm gonna guess 6.
This is the one with the servitor at the end, and we jumped on the roof
Yep.
of
Yeah.
that
Yep.
circle arena. I'm gonna say 5 again.
All right. Fox gets it again. So it's 3 in a row for Fox. We did it first try.
Yeah,
we
that's
cheesed
what I
it.
thought.
Really?
We did.
Did we cheesed it?
We
Yeah.
cheesed it. Yeah.
I remember cheesing it. That was the last one we did, right?
That's what I was thinking, because I'm like, if this is the last one we did, I think we were so tired of everything. We were just like, let's just cheese this and get it over with.
Yeah.
Dang it. I'm like, I want to guess 1 and I want to say 5 just because Ryan's only been saying 5.
Mm-hmm.
But I went the opposite way like a numbnuts. Okay.
All right. Next up is Arms Dealer. Still around. Yeah. Ride the elevator. Take out the cabal. Yeah.
Yeah.
What made this Grandmaster so difficult at the time was that anti-barrier was on sidearms and hand cannons. So we had Ariana's.
Ariana's vow.
Yeah.
I'll go first.
Okay.
I remember that we had trouble at the tank room. I think we died once or twice. I remember at the boss room, we died a few times. And I want to say it took like a heroic feat in order for us to beat the boss room because we weren't able to melt the boss. So I'm gonna say 6 attempts.
Ooh. 5.
Oh no, Chad, on the wrong side again. It took us 7 times.
7?
7 times to beat Arms Dealer.
Because you had to go up to that room. Like there was no like super burn method at the time. So you had to go into that boss arena, and that arena sucks.
Yep. All right. So Fox wins it. He's got 4 answers right, but however, Chad can still get some points on the board. Exodus Crash.
He's worth 3.
Yeah, Exodus Crash. Exodus Crash still around now. We did it this season.
Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I remember this one being a major pain. And we were like, we tried it real, and then we went to like, let's just cheese and try to make this guy jump off the edge.
Oh my god, I do remember that.
Yeah, you remember that? Yeah, and we actually made it work too.
That's how we beat it. That's how we beat it. Was Chad didn't ball off the edge.
Yeah.
And I remember one time we was trying to do the cheese, and Chad got locked up in the space tunnel before you jumped down.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. 7.
Say 6.
It was 10 attempts, so Chad finally got on the board.
Oh my gosh. That's 3 points,
so
baby.
All right. All right, the final one, Insight Terminus. I think this one took us multiple nights, and was probably the most difficult one we had that season.
I had nightmares.
The one with the
I'd
big
nightmares.
ass Scion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Had a lot in
my
that
gosh.
boss room. And that's
Yeah,
what
oh my
sucked
gosh.
because we made it all the
Yeah.
way to the boss room. Go ahead, Chad.
And the problem was that boss room. That boss arena was a nightmare. And this one, it was unstoppable barrier.
Yep.
And there was no good options for either of those. So you had to use Ariana's, right? I remember. Which means boss damage, because linears weren't popular then.
No.
Was
We used machine guns to take out shields.
machine guns. Yeah.
I think we ran machine guns.
Yeah. Oh my god, it's horrible. So we're like chipping away. And this was before infinite primary, right?
Yes. Yep.
So you'd zero out your ammo and just sit there and wait.
Yep.
Okay. I'm just gonna be real and say I'm just doubling my last answer. 14.
Okay.
9.
It was 15. Good job, Chad. cleaning up the
Oh,
last
6, I
two.
win.
Yep.
15. How does
15.
Chad win? I won 4 out of 6.
The last 2 were 3 points each.
I should have gave extra points
In my
if you
heart.
guessed exactly. So,
Oh, so Ryan would have won then because he got 1 right that way.
yeah, that's really the only season we can do it because season 11, Lake of Shadows came around, and like my data is skewed because how much times I farmed Lake of Shadows without you all. So,
Yeah.
so there it is. Fox wins 1,000 glimmer, getting 4 out of 6 right, and so that gives us a total of 15, 30, 40, 47 attempts that season to complete
Whoa.
6 strikes.
That's so bad, dude. Was it
That's
last
awesome.
season we did it? We did 6 and 7 attempts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So power creep is very real, and just a matter of 8 seasons now of Grandmasters, and this time around we're like getting it on the first attempt or slightly screwing something up and getting it on the second very easily.
It's just repetition, man. Knowing where the champions are gonna be at and being prepared for them.
Yep.
And having just killer weapons at this point in order to deal with everything.
All right, so Fox, I'm updating your score. You now have 9,000 glimmer. Chad, you have 14,000, and I am in last with 8,000.
I think we should each give Jared 500 since he came up with it.
It's fine. We'll roll it over.
All right.
All right, no half-baked takes this week since we did something a little bit different with Gambling Corner. So it brings us to...
I'll have a half-baked take next week, I promise.
Yeah. Well, now it brings us to lore with chadocero. So let's go.
Chadocero.
I just want that to be mispronounced forever.
Chadocero.
I'm always happy about that. So we have Season of Lost. This is the last week for it, and this year, just like last year, dropped with a ton of little snippets of lore. So I'm gonna go through the ones that I think are important a little bit or funny, because it's mostly side lore, but it does have stuff that is canon to the story of the Destiny verse. Last year we were mostly following Glint because he's the one that discovered the headless ones with the heads, the pumpkin heads. Their main defining feature is that they have a pumpkin head, and he calls them the headless ones for some reason. We never really got to the bottom of that. But this time we're following around Ido, as she is a scribe for House Light, and she wants to scribe down as many things as she can about human culture. Making notes of Elixni is important, but since she's in the last city, I know that she's very interested in human history, which was mostly wiped out because our archives and books and libraries are basically gone, and we're only finding some things here and there from Golden Age tech, but it's not, it's based on research typically, not on history, so we know very little about too many things. So first chapter I'm going to go through is chapter 9. 2 guardians were riding a sparrow through the EDZ, Glint began. Ido typed into her datapad. They were both on one sparrow? She asked flatly, not looking up. Yes, Glint said. They stopped at the side of the road because the sparrow broke down. One went to look for supplies, and the other waited inside the locked doors. The sparrow had doors? This one did, and they were locked. But then the guardian heard a scratching at the door from outside. Ido stopped typing, watching Glint with interest. And a voice said, "Let me in." And the guardian opened the door, but there was nobody there. Glint bobbed in the air, whispering a tremulous, "Ooh." And? Ido asked. Glint stopped moving and glanced back and forth. That's the end, he said. Ido's notes were brief. And these headless ones, Cuddle began, tilting down her tusks in contemplation. They are warriors? Oh yes, Ido said, looking up at the Cabal Empress. In fact, they may be of Cabal in origin. I'm investigating the stories now. Your retainers mentioned a similar tale, and I understand your people have a strong oral tradition. Surely there are accounts of flaming heads, swords of unusual size. Keitel considered this. There have been Cabal who have eaten fire, walked through fire, and belched fire. But that is all. I see, said Ido, crestfallen. Keitel put one massive hand on Ido's shoulder. But there were many warriors with their heads on fire, she offered in consolation. But not continuously. Thank you for speaking with me, Ido said cheerfully. The scion bowed its head, and Ido did the same. I've conducted an interview with Empress Keitel already, but I'm hoping that you could further illuminate the subject. Ido felt a soft, blooming sensation on the forefront of her mind. Gracious acquiescence. I'm searching for information about the Headless Ones, and the thought of a creature without a head sent up a spike of adrenaline, a flash of sickening terror that burst into Ido's mind so violently that she jumped. The scion's own thoughts only compounded its fear. Ido's eyes widened. Oh, I'm screaming, purple flames pouring from empty eyes. I'm so sorry, screaming, a burst of confetti. I didn't mean to, screaming, candy, candy everywhere. To upset you. About 13.2 kilograms, Cryptarch Ureli read from the scales. Ido wrung both sets of hands uncomfortably. The laboratory walls were lined with hundreds of canopic jars filled with preserved organs and appendages. She recognized many of them as elixni. Is that heavy? Ido inquired. The Cryptarch arched an eyebrow at her. Quite heavy for confetti. You say the Headless Ones emit a shower of this material upon death? They do, Ido replied, along with an edible the Guardians call candy. She tried unsuccessfully to keep the disgust from her tone. The Cryptarch shook his head in disbelief. Aside from its density, which is incredible, this confetti is identical to the stuff humans used pre-Dark Age celebrations. Ido's eyes twinkled with inspiration. Celebrations, like the Hall Between. And these monsters exist? Lord Saladin asked, his voice grave. Ido nodded nervously. I have ample evidence for their existence. I know that they have flaming pumpkin heads and that they're filled with candy, Ido said stiffly. And loot? They're also filled with loot. Lord Saladin considered this. Ido did not discern what he might be thinking. But I question Glint's conclusions about their origins, she added. The Iron Lord stared her down. You heard about this from Glint. Yes, I don't have time for this, Saladin said and walked away. Would you like some tea? The trip to Luna had been a short one, but Ido sat uncomfortably in a folding chair in Erisborn's dwelling. Her host poured a steaming liquid from a vessel into a small ceramic cup. The scribe took it politely, trying to keep the contents from spilling over the rim. So you believe the Headless Ones are connected to this hall between, Eris said. Yes, Ido answered. I do not believe they are of hive origin. I see. Oh, you do? I was wondering. Ido trailed off under Eris's stare. The scribe looked down at her tea. Humans tended to drink such things communally, but Eris had not poured a cup for herself. Letting her eyes wander, Ido realized the room was oddly bare, but for the teapot, a tattered mat at the door's threshold. The lettering on it was illegible. There was a long silence. I was asked to make this place more hospitable, Eris said. Ido wasn't sure if that was an explanation or an apology. During that chime, children would run amok, Cryptarch Matsuo explained. They would extort foodstuffs from the citizenry under threat of vandalism. Hence the participants' eagerness to disguise their identities, Ido mused. But how does this spirit of lawlessness relate to communion with the dead? She continued, puzzled. Matsuo shrugged. Maybe the hall between was a celebration of transgression in general, a period when people disguised themselves to act out of character. When hostile hatchlings acted as bandits, Ido supplied, and the dead returned to speak with the living? Exactly, the Cryptarch nodded, and those without heads were granted replacements for a time. The findings of Ido, scribe of House Light, regarding the beings known as the Headless Ones, from which I can conclude that the pumpkin was a type of sentient gourd that contained eyes and a mouth. sometimes a single eye, and sometimes less unsettling, 4 eyes. Whether these gourds were killed, cooked, and eaten is a point of debate. Perhaps after a time they were angered at being hunted for food and eventually turned on their predators. But then, if I'm reading this Golden Age primary source correctly, certain religious festivals were devoted to rearing the heaviest pumpkin. Perhaps these pumpkins instead were used as guides to traverse the hall between, though I still do not understand how a gourd could attain locomotion. After seeing Glint's evidence, I combed our archives for any mention of headless bodies, Cryptarch Matsuo began, and I uncovered what I discovered to be the oldest documentation of the headless ones. He slid a vacuum-sealed piece of parchment across the desktop to Ido, who chittered in anticipation. As you can see, Matsuo continued with a self-satisfied smirk, this report was written by a Golden Age scholar who described himself a 4th grade researcher. He calls this document a book report, Ido noted. There must have been a larger body of inquiry into the subject than we imagined. Absolutely, Matsuo affirmed, and this report identifies the individual who I believe discovered the very first headless one. A scientist named Ichabod Crane, Ido exclaimed with delight. The findings of Ido, scribe of House Light, regarding the beings known as the Headless Ones, continued. Hear what we know about the strange pre-Golden Age ritual of the Hall Between. During the rite, common humans were a monstrous mass for cosmetics and spiritual purposes, a custom that survives via the Festival of the Lost. Masked humans were allowed, if not encouraged, to participate in banditry and extortion of their neighbors. This seemed especially prevalent among juveniles. Humans used a long-existed variety of pumpkin familiars to breach the veil in between life and death. It's unclear what roles these sentient fruits played in the ritual, but the psycho-spiritual power of the legendary gourds merits further research. You really think that humans created the Headless Ones? Glint tilted his shell flaps obstinately. Yes, I hypothesize that they were created as part of an ancient human ritual, Ido replied, oblivious to the ghost's indignation. Called the Hall Between. Glint tilted incredulously. A hall between what? The realm of the living and the dead, Ido reasoned, to which the ancient pumpkins were key. Glint's shell flaps went slack in confusion. So while I appreciate your discovery of the Headless Ones, Ido continued, I cannot support your conclusions regarding their origins. Or their clearly inaccurate names, Ido added. But I like, Glint sputtered. I must reiterate that they do in fact have heads, Ido insisted in exasperation. It's their defining feature. The findings of Ido, scribe of House Light, regarding the beings known as Headless Ones, continued. It seems that the overarching theme of the Hall Between was transgression. It was a time when social strictures were lifted, the humans were permitted to cross the boundaries of nature and society. It appears that most humans use this license to contact their ancestors, similar to the Vanguard's severance rituals aboard the Leviathan. However, it is entirely possible that their adventurous practitioners used the power of the pumpkins to create entirely new beings, the Headless Ones. I'm grateful to Glint for conclusively proving the evidence of this reclusive creatures. However, my subsequent research with the Guardians led me to challenge his conclusions regarding their origins. This debate is likely to continue as long as Lightbearers retain their ghoulish taste for the Headless One's loot and their visceral candy innards. I think probably my favorite part was the quote-unquote 4th grade researcher and his book report.
Yeah.
It's excellent. I like seeing this from an outside perspective, like I said, where society's basically been erased, and so they're piecing this together from whatever they can find that's left of humanity, and it's like this book report happened to survive. It's great.
Whew. So, Chad, you kind of mentioned that this lore kind of brought you back around on the seasons lore a bit, like how the seasonal lore was kind of left you wanting more, but this haunted stuff is way better.
It's definitely funny, and it brings a new light to the world where, like I said, it's coming from a point of there was an apocalypse, and these are all the notes that we can find. And she's a scribe, she's a researcher, so she's trying to take notes of history to create a library of history for her and humanity, for her people and humanity. So whatever she can find is what she can find. And so obviously we in this time and this universe know what the Hall Between or Halloween is.
Mm-hmm.
And so seeing it from that kind of perspective is just, it's fun to see, and
Yeah.
it's something that's very interesting to be able to make those parallel connections with our world here and the future version in Destiny.
All right, that brings us to the mailbag. And first
Yeah.
question here: what destination are you hoping for the season 19 dungeon to be at?
Ooh. I'm hoping, again, still Europa. Like I said, you go into that raid, there's the left door. I want to know what's behind that door. We have Exo stuff. I'm still hoping that next season is Rasputin related, because I've been saying it since Witch Queen dropped that one of these seasons has to be Rasputin. And Europa is where the Exo stuff is, and that is completely necessary to bringing him into a physical body. So I'm hoping Europa, because it's just a cool setting. So I'd like to go actually into the Braytech laboratory where it's like clean and still all looks brand new. That'd be an awesome dungeon setting. You'd be like, this is crazy. We're running in a hospital and in a facility. And instead of being run down or Hyvee or dark, you're just in a brand new building. It's like this is the first version of this that leads kind of into Lightfall, because it's going to be basically in a real new city.
Mm-hmm.
That I think the Braytech labs are the closest we get to that currently.
I was trying to think. It's likely not gonna be Fallen because of the Goonies raid.
Mm,
It's likely not gonna be Cabal because of the duality raid.
Dungeon. Yeah.
Yep. Hive was kind of interdispersed in between the Goonies raid that I can't remember the name of. I'm so sorry. We kind of had some Hive and Taken in uh, the Dreaming City dungeon,
Oh, yeah.
Shattered Throne.
It's the
Makes me
pit.
think it's going to be.
Pit of Heresy.
It makes me think it's going to be Vexy,
Okay.
which could match up with Chad's
Dreams.
Europa
Hopes and dreams.
thing. So I'm kind of leaning that way. But who knows? Who knows what they'll do? But if you got High Fallen, Cabal, and Taken as kind of the most recent, Vex would kind of be the one that makes sense.
We haven't had a Vex dungeon, right?
I don't think so, but
Because we've had Taken,
I'm also
Hive,
pretty drunk,
Cabal,
so like my brain's not
Fallen.
working real well.
Yeah, it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I think we've had everything else but Vex.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so
it's about time.
Vex would be the one that makes sense. So I think Chad's probably leaning in the right direction.
Yeah. Vex does make the most sense, but part of me is like, what if they start bringing back some of these destinations that we lost? Like, they brought back Titan, and it's got reshaped in a way.
A Hyvee Titan.
Yeah, that, or like the ocean is dried up, and all of a sudden there's like a big hole on the floor, and we dive into that, and we just like
Well,
that.
if you remember, didn't Titan have the big fucking Leviathan?
The
monster?
biodome, or it did have the Leviathan thing. Yeah.
Uh,
I was thinking more like, how Mars has those currently it has those time fluctuation portal zones.
Yeah.
If
Yes.
you had one of those on Titan where like it went all the way to the surface on Titan and it was just a dome of this time distortion, and so there's no methane ocean there.
Yeah.
But as far as I'm aware, like it was built around the ocean being there. The ocean's been there the whole time. So
Mhm.
it would be cool though. Or if like you got into the dome and then it put you into one underneath, so you're like in like an aquatic like area with just glass surrounding you, and you can see
Kinda-
the stuff go by.
Kind of like going down to Atlantis or something like that. Kind of be
Yeah,
what the
that'd be
thing would be. Yeah. All right, question 2. What class of gun needs a buff?
Snipers.
What'd you
Fusions.
say, Jay? Fusions? Okay.
Just the high impact fusions only. And just for the account, chadocero, hashtag, I have to look that up,
Yeah.
but I'll
Mine's
find it.
6969.
Yeah, we know.
Destiny. Budgie knows I'm the Destiny bad boy.
In particular, I would like Darcy and Whisper the Worm to have 100 AE stat, and that's the buff I am looking for, because let's just see how it performs. Like, if somebody gets heavy weapon and in PvP and they have Darcy and they're hitting jump snipes, so be it. I think that'd be a lot of fun, and it just changes up a bit. That's what I like to see.
Yeah.
All right, 3. Been playing any other games lately?
I've almost beat Spider-Man. I'm in the final act. I think I'm like 83 or 84% on the main campaign completed.
Nice.
I've done most of the side quest stuff. I would say 75% of the side quest stuff. So I don't think I'm going to do the rest of the side quest stuff, because it gets a slightly repetitive on the side quest stuff towards the end. Like the last 35% of the side quest are just recycles of the first 65%. So I'm probably not going to mess with those too awful much, but definitely going to beat the game, and then we'll be pleasantly awaiting the Miles Morales when it comes out later this fall.
I as the listeners know, I beat the Mass Effect series 2 weeks ago, and I got tired of grinding lost sectors this last weekend. So Monday I got sick and tired of what was my 30th lost sector in a row. And I started playing Mass Effect Andromeda, because I'm like, I need to play something else. So I downloaded Andromeda and I started playing it. I'm like, hey, this is neat. We'll see how this goes. I saw that there's lots of part of what I really hated about Mass Effect 1, rolling around in a car, and I hated that in 1, but my roommate / best friend has reassured me that it's a lot better in Andromeda. Still not great, but a lot better, and I'm like, okay, I'll give it a shot. So we'll see how that goes. I'm still in the first mission. I haven't gotten to do really anything, but I'm like, yeah, the gameplay's neat, the movement's neat. I'll have to see if I can make this character a pseudo Titan, like my Titan, and make it play like my Arc Titan, just for funsies.
Oh, you just want it to be busted. Okay.
Yeah.
So I've downloaded a couple games that I'm looking to get into. One of them is The Outer Worlds. I know the second one is going to be coming out, I think, sometime in the next year or so. So, and my wife said that she really don't play first-person shooters, but this one's an RPG single-player playthrough. She says you're going to like it. So I'm going to give that a try, and also downloaded Grounded, potentially just to build a base and farm stuff. It's the full release out now, so I might give that a try. Depends on Outer Worlds Go, and then always ready to play Overwatch 2 whenever people are looking to play.
Overwatch 2 is I love. I've only played that game like 4 or 5 separate occasions, but every time I played it, I loved it. Jared Outer Wilds is awesome. You'll really like that. Grounded is fine. Make that a back burner type of thing, and a Game Pass PC type of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know how much Fallout is in your past, but the company that made Fallout New Vegas, Obsidian, is the team that did that Outer Wilds.
Okay.
And it is super good.
All right.
Super.
So I did
good.
play Fallout New Vegas. I remember back in the Xbox 360 games days, whenever the Xbox store would put games on for super cheap, and I think I bought it for $2 or $3.
Yeah. So you had Fallout 3, which was awesome. Fallout New Vegas. Any real Fallout fan knows that Fallout New Vegas was better than Fallout 3. and it was made by Obsidian as opposed to Bethesda. So it's the same company. Um, the frequent fan of the show, cousin Cody, I believe, played Outer Wilds for a while, so he'll back me up on that as well. But that game is very good.
All right, question 4. What year of D2 has been the worst?
This year. We touched this pre-show a little bit. Sorry for ruining the mailbag question, but it did come up in pre-show, so we did talk about it. If you're one of the 4 or 5 that were hanging around about that time, but in my opinion, it's this year.
I hate to agree with Ryan.
So hold on. Let's talk. Let's talk through the Shadowkeep year. What did we get that year?
Shadowkeep was Black Armory, the Gambit, and
Opulence.
the Menagerie.
Yeah.
That wasn't.
we got,
that wasn't the Forsaken year.
No, that was the Forsaken year. Yeah.
Yes. So Shadowkeep
Opulence was right before Shadowkeep.
Yes.
So Shadowkeep, we got Season of the Hunt, which doesn't exist in my brain.
Yeah. And then we had the Saint 14 season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? And
Dawn.
then we had the one where the pyramids were coming on the
Arrivals.
obelisks, right?
Yeah.
Season of Arrivals.
So Arrivals was definitely neat.
And then before that, we
Nothing
had
super exciting about
we had
it.
the Rasputin season. where
We had that.
So, in
Yeah.
my opinion, it's the Shadowkeep year because we got 1 raid and 1 dungeon for the entire year.
Okay.
And actually, that
I
year
think-
turned into 15 months.
Yeah, it did. I think I liked the War Mine Cell mods a lot. So that
Yeah.
definitely influences me about that.
the
That
Charged
season
with
was not
Light-
great
Charged
at
with
all by
Light
any
was the
means.
Season before that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like that season introduced the 4x8 grid or 4x7 grid, which is now a dreaded thing to do every season.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
But the Charge with Light mods came, and then the War Mine Cell mods came, and those were awesome, and those were really neat, and it was cool
And
to see.
When your fusions started coming around, remember the one
Yeah,
from that same
Dawn
14
made more
season?
people
Line in the sand.
look at them. Yeah,
Thanks,
Um,
man. That was a good fucking
but
gun
yeah.
game.
like Jared said, we only got 1 and 1 for Raid
Yeah.
and Dungeon that year.
And also, that's whenever they announced sunsetting.
Yeah,
that
that is.
same
Yeah,
year.
you're right.
But we still had all that stuff, and we had that awesome end of the year stuff where you could go through all those raids and get that sweet emblem.
Oh yeah, the raid seal
and
emblem thing.
moments of triumph.
But
right?
that stuff was all the 2 years before. This is the Shadowkeep year.
So then let's think about this year. So we had, obviously the big expansion came out.
Witch Queen, Val Disciple.
Witch Queen. So we got this is a little bit of reused content from the pre-show, but we had the legendary campaign, which was incredible, but probably took more time than it was worth, in my opinion, in order to complete. And then, so we've had the duality come back since then, and we've had King's Fall come back since then, but we've also paid more because we had to have the dungeon, like the dungeon pass or whatever, was a little more. Granted, we bought the deluxe edition, which was what, $100?
Yeah. Yep. Basically
It was
$8 a
like-
month.
It was like $80 for those in the past. So King's Fall, which this is another segment for another day, was my favorite raid of all time, but it's pretty weak in current D2 standards, just because of the weapons that we have access to and everything. I just don't feel that raid stands up as much as I thought it did. Maybe it was a nostalgia thing, but I just it's really hard for me to think that I feel like we're paying more money for stuff, which I don't care to pay money for games. Like, I'll gladly I'll gladly give people money to play things I like. But this is like bringing back the um, like the Castellum, like that area, in order
Mm-hmm.
for that. Basically, did a public event for one season, over and over and over and over, and then we had, I just feel like this year has been the hardest to stick around for the entire year, in my opinion.
Okay. All right. Last question. Which game or genre do you wish Bungie used as motivation?
Definitely hero shooter.
Okay.
Hmm.
Gonna be a little bit different here. I know we talked about it though, but an extraction of
Marathon.
yeah. So but what if you had it? As you went into an actual raid, and you can only take in like so many things, and if you died in a raid, that stuff would go away, deleted from your account.
Ooh.
So if you wiped, it wiped all the loot that was on you.
Mm.
Final death.
I'd be all right with that if there wasn't weird stuff like the door shuts and doesn't open up for everybody to come
Yeah.
through in one encounter.
I understand that.
Is definitely
Or
interesting.
maybe like maybe make it to where if you don't complete the raid, like with the people that start in the same instance, so not necessarily the people that started, but if you don't complete that raid, then you lose it. To say like your first attempt is you're kind of risking it with your clan
Yeah.
because you have to stay in there the whole time in order to
Mhm.
get the completion. But if you get the completion, you keep everything, and that prevents the griefing of like having a team of 5 and then kicking somebody halfway through and then inviting a clan member in or whatever for the final boss fight. But to where if you were able to, you have to stick with the same instance, not necessarily the same characters or the same people, but like if I want to go from hunter to warlock to titan, I'm able to switch back and forth. But as long as I'm in that instance, then I'm able to keep the weapons. I think that'd be interesting as an option to maybe get like a depth loot or
Yeah.
increased red borders or something like that. I would be cool with that.
I'm thinking definitely not along the lines of either of you. I'm thinking based off of easily one of the greatest games created and invented in the history of mankind. Um, a similar version to that would be the Sweeperbot game, taking homage from Goose Game, and you're just the Sweeperbot meandering about the last city doing Sweeperbot things. It'd be excellent. I would love it very much.
I don't even know
Same
what that
exact
is.
art style as Goose Game. You're just a sweeper bot meandering the city, sweeping and stuff. And all of a sudden, next thing you know, you're sweeping by a human, and you just steal his hat, and you slowly shamble away while he walks behind you.
Mm-hmm.
It would be excellent.
How about
Ryan, you have to look it up. It's the best.
how about
Okay,
construction
I'm
worker simulator, and you go
I was
repair?
thinking Sweeper Bot Simulator,
You
where it's literally
repair.
the whole game is you're just in that one spot,
You go
and that's
repair.
it.
You repair the old tower. You go and actually fix it.
Yeah, that'd be neat.
But I also think it would be cool if there was some sort of RPG genre.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
That was taken.
I was thinking completely
hero-
not shooter related.
Yeah, like hero shooter is kind of obvious, right?
Mm-hmm.
But some sort of RPG thing to where you really get like Final Fantasy slash Destiny universe. Like, man, that would be. I would be like some of those gifts Chad sends to everybody if that was something that happened. But I'm sure we'll get there one day as Bungie expands everything multimedia. But the between extraction shooter, hero shooter, those are probably the most likely things that we're looking at. I think arena shooter is probably the least likely that we're looking at. Would you guys agree with that?
I think the time has passed on those for now.
Yeah, which is really unfortunate because Bungie was the king of arena shooters back in the day. Bungie and Epic, in my opinion, were the two kings. So I think, but those days are long gone. But I believe is that the last question in the mailbag that
Yeah.
you know of, Jared?
Yeah.
All right. So, listen, make sure you follow us on Twitter at Destiny CC Pod. Don't forget, if you're watching us on YouTube, to click the bell, turn on notifications. Also, you can take us on the road via Spotify, iTunes, and other podcast services. I'm going to let these other two fellows sign off.
You know, this last bit of the season here, we got 4 weeks of the season 18 left. So I'm starting the bounty prep of stacking bounties because nobody wants to cram that in the last 2 weeks. Last like 2 weeks of the season, you just kind of want to see what's going on. Maybe there's a seasonal event that you would need to go to the tower and grab something, but other than that, like you should be taking a break these last couple weeks in November.
And yeah, definitely do bounty stacking here and there. Start it if you need to. It makes the end of the season a lot easier because you can either take a complete break at the end, or just do a couple bounties here and there. I like to do like a couple a week per character. You know, get some of the weeklies done and just get everything started stacking up. To every week at least try to get at least 20 per character a week. That way, I can have them basically done in like 3-4 weeks. And then if you want to raid, if there's a raid that's on rotation that you want to do, get some challenges done or just learn, definitely hit us up. Kingsfall is always open for people for learning it. It's one of the easier ones, like I said. And definitely if you wanna learn Deepstone Crypt, we can go through a run through so you can learn it. And then Jared and I are gonna be grinding it. I know that I'm gonna want to spend at least that week, that Sunday. I'm gonna want to spend all day just playing it the entire time. If I'm not in the dungeon, I'm gonna be in there grinding it out and hoping that Jared's on with me. I already invited a couple of homies. Said, hey, get in here. I'm gonna be in here all day. Let's do it. So, hope to see you there.